Good afternoon. I am Gina Hamilton, Managing Director of Exact Digital Media and co-founder of Explore CT Shoreline. We are waiting we're going to give it another 30 seconds and then we'll get started. So thank you very much for joining Creative is King, especially during a crisis. We'll get started in 30 seconds. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining Creative is King, especially during a crisis. This is the second webinar in the series of COVID-19, so I appreciate you attending. I am Gina Hamilton, Managing Director of Exact Digital Media and co-founder of Explore CT Shoreline. I am joined by Stephen Kearns, Business Associate of Exact Digital Media. A little bit about Exact Digital Media. Exact Digital Media uses internet-based advertising tools to reach, research, manage, track, analyze, and improve online advertising campaigns that drive results. I'm partnered with a technology and digital advertising company out of Denver, Colorado, with more than 90 people in Denver. And we are focused on making available Madison Avenue level digital marketing solutions to Main Street businesses today. I have 24 years proven digital advertising solutions, 18 years in brand strategy, marketing, and creative services. We service over 12,000 monthly campaigns backed by hyper-local regional advertising campaigns. And 30 people are dedicated to Google Bing certified SEMs and specialists, and we are a Google partner, premier partner. On today's call, we will look at why it's important to have the right type of creative best practices, how to leverage visuals to drive conversions, how this applies during COVID, how to use all this information to drive revenue, and no need to take notes. I will be sending this deck out to the participants on this call today. And if you do have a question, you could either hold it for the end of the presentation, where we will have an active discussion around the creatives and best practices, or you can enter your question in the QA box or the chat. Now I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Steve, and he will talk about why creative is important.
Thank you, Gina. And thank you everybody for attending today's Creative is King, especially during a crisis. I think this is something where, because of a crisis, we've all taken a very good look at creative, and it's something that sometimes as part of a marketing campaign can be taken for granted. We want to make sure that the emphasis is put back on creative because, as Gina alluded to, there's so many things driven by messaging. If our goal is to reach a targeted audience with the right message at the right time, that just goes to show even more so why that messaging is important, and it tells customers what you want them to do and helps them take action, which is only going to influence your business. So let's look a little bit more into why creative is so important. So more than $65 billion will be spent on programmatic digital display in 2020. That is a huge number. And as you look at the fact that these are other businesses trying to get their services and products across to other consumers or their potential clients, it is so important for you to be able to stick out, to have people notice and take action from your ads. That is why, as we look at the different strategies you can use and the different ways you can differentiate your business, it is really important not to get lost in the clutter. So we have a few different things. The glue. What is the best campaign strategies? How can we use these creative really to tie everything together? So your creative is the glue to tie all of your marketing together. It is what people perceive and get their impressions of your business before they may have even ever worked with you before. Or have you been able to tailor your creative to current customers? And are your current customers seeing something that is specific to them? These are all ways that you can help to differentiate your business as it pertains to your creative and messaging. It gives you a chance to tell your story, who you are, what you've been doing, especially as, again, we look at a crisis and what is happening during COVID. Are you open? Are you closed? Are you doing things in your community to help those who may not be able to help themselves at this time? This gives you the ability to guide your user, to be able to let them know that you are open, how they can engage with you. Are you a restaurant, and do they have the ability to eat in? Do they have to set a reservation? And if they can't eat in, are you offering any sort of takeout or to go? These are all little examples of ways that you can steer your customer where you want them and really help them make those decisions that you need them to impact your business. And then, as we talked about, relevancy is huge. So relevancy goes by product. Different products need to have different messaging just based on where they fall in somebody's path to purchase or their journey online. And as we look at these different phases, you need to be able to differentiate. Are you a first time user? Are you being able to gain that awareness that you need so that somebody is going to now go to your website and become more familiar with who you are, what you do, which is only going to help push them down that funnel and closer to making a buying decision? And that's really where we get down into that acquisition phases. So as you have different targeting, are you going after different audiences? We want to make sure that we are speaking to those audiences because that is what is going to help them act, to know what needs to be done to act, and then create a seamless experience for the consumer. And that is very important as time is at a premium. Time is as valuable as people's money in a lot of different cases. So making sure that you are getting not only the right message in front of the users, but when they click on it, does it go to the right place on your website? And again, this is strategies that can be used across the whole marketing funnel. And as you really gain the awareness of a potential new customer, all the way down to how you stay in front of somebody that is currently doing business with you. So, as we look at the importance of creative, studies show that people have the ability to recall 65% of the visual content that they see, and that is up to 3 days later. So staying in front of these people and having messaging that speaks to them is only more important as we look at not only the current times with a crisis, but the competition that we are all facing in the space. So we wanted to start with some best practices with a few different products. We have plenty of examples we're going to show, but as we look at how, as a business, you can make the most of your creative, we wanted to touch on a few different platforms. So first and foremost, we want to talk about display. And display ads are so powerful. We all see them. They play before videos that you want to watch. They are in every article you read. They're on every section front of any news or sports site that you go to. And they are highly targeted ads. So as a business owner, to leverage this targeting, you know that you are going to be able to, in the case of this, reach somebody who is shopping for home goods, or maybe even down particularly to vacuums. So now let's look at the creative and what you can do to really make sure that message pops. So there are a few different ad formats: static or animated. Is this something where they stay in the same way all the time, or are they moving and changing? Are you really a minimalist? Are you putting very little in and letting kind of the simple approach capture people using bright colors and bright fonts with big lettering? Or are you trying to portray a lot of information? And obviously, high quality and respect to your brand is very important. So, making sure that the ads have the same look and feel of your website or the campaign that you are marketing. So, as we look at this ad here, some of the things I really love. It is simple. Today only is a great call to action, but you also have a great offer. So, there is a great value proposition, and they need to act now. There is a large button at the bottom in red that is completely different than anything else in the ad. Get my free vacuum now. That is a strong call to action. And you could have your logo here at the top because it is so simple. So you're getting your brand recognition as well as achieving the goal of what this marketing campaign is. And there are so many different ways to do that. So as we look at the ways you need to change your creative, it's not just by marketing campaign and possibly product, but the size of the ad. As we all know, as big as mobile phones are, there is still just not the same amount of space in an ad that somebody is going to view on a mobile phone compared to something like this, where this is a 300 by 600 ad, one of my favorites and best performing ad spaces there is. But if we compare that to like a 300 by 50 or a 320 by 50, how now can we get the same type of reaction while only having a limited amount of space? It can definitely be done. And this is a case where maybe you do go to an animated ad versus a static ad because you can now still get more information across to your end users or your targeted audience. So as we look at this ad, the hierarchy starts with a logo, your own brand, a strong value proposition, and then a call to action. These don't always have to be in the same order, but they are the three main components that we know are involved in any successful ad campaigns. Some other little tips and tricks before we move on to Facebook ads. You want to make sure that you have high quality assets. So good pictures go a long way. If you don't have a good image and it looks blurry, you are only hurting your chances of getting somebody to actually engage with your ad or ultimately purchase products or services from you or your business. You want clear fonts at 10 point or above. This makes it very easy for people to read. Some people have better vision than others, or again, dependent on device, this is something that's going to help you regardless of those different differentiators and make sure that you have a powerful ad that everybody can read and use. Borders and contrasting colors. So as you see here, there is a strong border that is faded. It starts lighter at the top, goes darker at the bottom, but it is a clear differentiator and separates the ad from the rest of the space. And then as we look at the contrasting color here, the thing we want people to do most, get my free vacuum now. That is a strong call to action, but it is the only red spot in the whole ad. So your eye is naturally going to be drawn there after you look at the pictures of the robots or the RoboVacs in this example. And then we suggest the RGB color mode. We do have some people who use CMYK, but RGB is the most used worldwide as far as creative and the color scheme that you should use.
And to add what Stephen is saying, studies have shown when you think about wanting to use a static ad versus an animated ad today, studies have shown that static ads tend to outperform animated ads. Again, simple, concise messaging will go a long way, and less is better, especially when you're viewing this on a mobile device, and more people are engaging with ads on mobile devices today.
Great point, Gina. So now let's look at Facebook. Facebook is a platform that we all know, we obviously use, and is still, as it pertains to social media, one of the most used platforms in the world. And there are multiple different ad types that you can use as it pertains to your Facebook messaging. So static ads is usually your one photo. It's a static image with the copy that you want above and the callouts below the photo. You have a carousel ad, which is usually a combination of a few different pictures that people now can scroll through the different pictures that you have, still tied to the same type of text or headlines that you want around and above and below the photo. Video ads are growing in usage, especially across social media. And as we look at video ads, it is much easier for people to get the information you are trying to relay to them. And with social media, the great thing about video is you do not have to invest thousands of dollars on commercial grade video. This is something that you can shoot on your cell phone. Your employees can shoot on their cell phones, and cell phone quality video is very high. So it is still better in a lot of cases to use your cell phone and create a video than it is to necessarily run a static image ad or a carousel ad. If a photo says 1,000 words, what does that mean about a video? And then ultimately, the goal, especially if you're a retailer, would be to run some sort of a collection ad. And these ads on the right are examples of collection ads where you can actually start to show your products based on a product feed that you keep at your store. And people now have the ability, once they click on a certain type of product or service you offer, to now see more. So if you click on a shoe, it can go not only to that shoe, but it can pull up and show you more shoes based on the fact that we know that is what somebody is looking for on that ad. So when we use each format, we need to make sure that not only is the messaging concise, but that it speaks to the goal of the campaign. So as you have different products and services, you want the ad copy above the photo to speak to what is pictured, whether that is a video or a static image. The two things together really allow you as a business to portray value, to tell the story you want to a consumer, and to make sure that you are putting yourself in the best position for them to engage with your ad and ultimately your business. But there are limitations. Every ad type is a little bit different. And Facebook, for example, has a 20% rule. So as you look at photos and videos, they do not want you to overlay a bunch of text. They actually want to see about 20% of the ad be text, where most of it being video or your actual static images. So as we look at this example here on the right, the oversized cancels from traveling, cancels noise from traveling. This hoodie, that is less than 20% tied to the font, where most of it is image based. That is exactly what Facebook wants, yet you still are able to get that little bit of added value or messaging through to the consumers. And so as we look at rules like that, it is important to have a partner like Gina, where she can help you not only design a marketing campaign, what you want to promote, how to promote it, but make sure that your business is following best practices. And these best practices are important because as we look at the most successful campaigns we run, they all are within the best practices portrayed by Facebook. So what does that mean? Your imagery and videos need to be the right size and format. Your copy needs to fit within a certain amount of characters, and that can be the ad copy above or the call to actions below the photos. You need to have a strong call to action. So as it pertains to Facebook, what you want the button to say is just as important as a lot of other things. Should that be learn now, shop now, learn more? There are so many different options you have just with the types of buttons you can have for a call to action, in addition to any other offer or call to action you have in the photo or your ad copy. So these are just little things that as you look at a Facebook campaign is important to keep in mind because it will impact the results of your campaign. And as we look specific to video, we want to make sure that There are some different best practices, especially as it pertains to the different platforms. So, as we've been talking about Facebook, Facebook is really in stream. It is targeting an audience. It's not necessarily a pre roll type of feature because, unlike a publisher website or YouTube or even your connected TV where you are streaming video, it is important to understand that those are things that are forced plays or are played before the video you are trying to consume. Whereas on Facebook, it is in your feed based on the targeting and the propensity that you are reaching the potential customer in need of your services or goods. Again, clear messaging with a clear call to action is very important and will impact the results of your campaign. So every ad, regardless of format, should have that. You need to have everything upfront and ready to go. The more you change out creative, the more you're tweaking. It is not a bad thing to tweak based on performance, but starting and stopping, only having little pieces of a campaign do hurt, again, the results. So making sure that you have everything in-house, it is ready to go, that you have multiple facets and that all of them are working together. So as we look at this, we have length strategies or companion banners. Companion banners are, if I have purchased a video spot, you can actually run a static banner next to it to help really reiterate and double down on the branding of your ad on that page. It gives you more real estate to get your message across. And then lastly, keep it clean. And this applies to not only look and feel, but be sensitive about the users and the audience you are going after. So your messaging should be clean, and you should always have somebody else look over it to ensure that it is not offensive or something is off, even from a grammatical standpoint. So keep your advertising clean, regardless of the platform, but especially as it pertains to Facebook and where you're having images and ad copy.
And to add to that, I caution you with everything that's going on with Facebook today, the increase in activity because of COVID-19, you saw a shift in activity on Facebook, Instagram, and other social platforms. While these are the four formats that really stick out, I go back to the 20% because Facebook is dictating their best practices. They want to make sure that the experience that their users, is they do have a good experience. And when you break the rule, Facebook will either slow your ad down or will not deliver it at all. And so with Facebook and Google, I don't know, it goes back to quality score. The messaging has to be precise, less clutter, and then you're definitely able to reach more of an audience. On Explore CT Shoreline alone, on a monthly basis, on a 30-day run period, we're reaching about 25,000 people with our posts. So there is opportunity to reach a lot of people in your market if it's done correctly.
Very, very true. I love what you just mentioned about reach, because you are rewarded, just like Gina said, on Facebook and Google for not only following the best practices, but the more you have a best practice and a good ad, the more they show you. So it's almost like getting free advertising or additional advertising just based on the fact that you have a good ad, it follows best practices, and people are actually engaging with it. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you for jumping in there, Gina.
You're welcome.
And then email. Email is so important because it's something that we all use every single day. We have work emails and personal emails. And with the availability of email on any device and it being an on-demand product, you can get your messaging in front of people right when they need it. It is 100% share of voice. In your email, you might have a few people, but once you capture somebody, there are no other shared ads. They are in your email and they see nothing but what you are trying to show them. So matching not only the targeting that you have available, but making sure that that targeting matches the content is very important. So as we look at email, email has a few more different things that you probably want to look at compared to some of these other platforms. And that is because of the sheer amount of space and the capabilities of it has as a product. So you definitely, similar to any of the other things that we're talking about, you want to have a clear and concise flow. You want to tell people a story. So at the top, you have a header image that is going to be paired with some sort of a headline. And that headline should match the picture and tell people what you want to do. Is it something about a grand reopening? Is it something about a change to products and services? Is it about a sale? You can tell people what you are letting them, what they are going to see in the email right at the top. And that top part should click to the sale or your homepage or something like that. But as we look at, as you move down and the different things that you can still portray in email, let's say that you were talking about a grand reopening for your retail store and you have multiple products or services that you provide. Well, now you can cover each of those products or services with their own little area and have that area click into your website and go directly to what you were talking about there. That is very important. And you cannot do that with a display ad or a Facebook ad per se. Facebook, the only way to really do it is like a collection ad where it is working off of a product feed. Outside of that, email gives you the best chance to not only show, but have people be able to navigate directly to those products or services you want them to. So a few things to keep in mind. Height best practices. Since so many people are viewing on mobile phones their email nowadays, especially personal email, you do not want your email to be too long. People are usually only going to scroll once or twice. They are not going to scroll 4 or 5 times on an email. And if they are, it will probably be something for a current customer that you are sending something to, not necessarily somebody who doesn't know who you are or what you offer. And as we look at email creative, not only should it be built thinking of the consumer and maybe the device, but an actual HTML file built properly is going to allow that you show in somebody's inbox. It will help you avoid any sort of spam issues or anything like that. But there are different options you have, different ways, and Gina is a perfect person to work with as it pertains to coming up with what exactly is needed, both from what you want to cover, but also the type of email that you need to have. Can it be a templated type of email, or does it have to be built from scratch? Slicing an image. If you have an image or a static ad, maybe you've ran in a newspaper or something like that, and you want to just slice that image up, you certainly can do that. And our team will work with you to turn that into an HTML file. It is still not the best practice. Building an actual HTML file will typically get you a little bit better results. But the big thing here again is making sure that you still hit people's inbox, even if it is only starting with a PDF or some sort of static ad or image that you want to chop up and add to. Totally doable with email. Background images. Picture at the top is fine. Yes. Background image that covers the whole email is not a good thing. It is going to impact your results, viewability, and how much you can actually show or how clean the ad looks. So making sure that you do not overclutter the ad with a background image is important. Similar to the other products, web-safe fonts. They still need to be large, 10-point or bigger, using colors, but something somebody can easily read and tell not only what you want, but whether they're on a mobile device or a computer, be able to really get what you are trying to portray in the small amount of time that you have with them. And I've talked about a few different ways that spam can be affected. We actually guarantee inbox delivery dependent on the amount of emails. So if you have 1 million available emails and you're only sending 100,000, we will ensure that you get 100,000. But if there's only 100,000 emails and we send all 100,000, there's nothing we can do outside of making sure that the email is built properly, and that we follow these other triggers to ensure that you reach somebody's inbox. So first and foremost, your subject line needs to be concise and, in a perfect world, small. You only get so many characters, and anything more than that is a trigger for spam. Excessive characters. It is okay to use dollar signs and percentages. It is not wrong to use a sale price or a sale in your headline or subject line. But having multiples like save money and you have like $6 signs, that is something that is going to look like spam and be a flag for that. Stop yelling at me. This is a big one because everybody wants to use capitals. And in most cases, capitals is portrayed negatively by a consumer. So don't do it. If anything, capitalize the first letter of each word. But even then, spam filters work like a teacher. They are grading everything based on what it looks like and how it should be written. They do not want to see anything too salesy or gimmicky. And then, not that these are always something that is going to do this, but the word free, last chance, and offer, they're not bad, but if you can avoid them, it is best practice, and there are other ways to ensure that people are going to be able to act and get the messaging that you want them to based on this product or what the goal of your campaign is going to be. So we do have email templates. Email outside of that can be something where it is hard to get unless you work with a partner that will build those for you. So when we send this deck out after this, you will be able to click on this email templates and go to some that we have pre-built. It tells you exactly what you need, but these are all actual HTML files. So these are going to give you the best chance at making sure that you do not have any spam issues or anything like that. With the amount of targeting we have access to, with how narrow you can target email, it is important to make sure that you are reaching their inbox, and the creative and how you capture people with email is so important as it pertains to that.
And so just to add to that, email marketing is by far one of my favorites because it's one-to-one marketing. You have a list of your customers customers who actually opted into your email. So this is a great opportunity for you to send out clear messaging, as Scotch Plains Tavern does every single Thursday, who have been messaging their over 3,000 email database that talked about phase one opening, keeping their staff safe and customers safe as well, to phase two opening, now indoor and outdoor dining, as well as Father's Day, and also messaging around safety, which was key. Again, we will send this deck out. You can click on the email templates. There's a wealth of email, look and feel that really has a higher click-through rate. And email is also great a great strategy to build your email list as well. As people opt in to receive your email, you're growing that audience, which is a dedicated audience to get your message in front of.
All great points, Gina. So we've talked about best practices and why it is important to have these as it pertains to your creative and your marketing plans. But now let's really talk about why. The goal of any marketing campaign is to drive those meaningful actions we want potential customers or users to be taking on our websites or on your websites. So having visuals and creative that is going to help drive conversions is super important. So what do we mean when we talk about driving conversions? Again, I mentioned it as meaningful actions. These are those things that we want people to do on our websites. Dependent on your industry, this could mean anything from booking a room if you're in the hotel, or maybe like even just you're renting out your home in like a VRBO type of model, something like that. But having something where not only can people know that that's what you're doing, but take those meaningful actions to help move the needle for you. So as we look at ways to do that, you need to leverage your creative, and it starts with being clear. Having a large button similar to the first example of creative we showed you, that 300 by 600. I want my free vacuum, so I'm going to click this bright red button. So some of the things that you can do and what we can help with as far as making sure that your campaigns are conversion oriented, not only will it start with one creative, but it's smart to have two tests or two types of creative. So you can A/B test those images, copy, or call to actions to see what is working best. We do see all the time where when two or more creatives are in play, one set of creative that outperforms the others. So having multiple allows your business to be put in the best position to ensure that you are going to get the action or the results that you want from your campaign. Retargeting should have a different creative as your original audience targeting. Once somebody's been to your website with the use of pixels, we can ensure that you can show a specific message to those users that should be different. You know, Amazon, when we talk about retargeting, is one of the things that people notice most. Why? Because by the time you leave Amazon and you go to another website, you are still seeing those very specific products that you had looked at. So that is effective. And anybody that you talk to sees these ads, knows what they are and how well they work. But even if you don't have that, messaging that is specific to people who have already been to your website is important. It is also important as we look at not just retargeting website visitors, but people who have been a customer of yours in the past. We want to ensure that as people are working with you, they get their own messaging that is relevant, because you can actually turn people away by sending creative that does not apply. We shouldn't make them text heavy, and there is no need for a phone number as it pertains to display ads. The reason for this is people are going to go to your website. On your website, you have a phone number, and with space being so valuable, there is no need to overstuff the ad with text or put in a phone number. Create urgency and need. Have that strong call to action. Today only. Things like that are going to make people make a decision and either act one way or the other, which is good. Animate the promotion so it stands out. And what we mean by that is have it be a little bit bigger. Have it be something that maybe moves or pops, brings somebody's eye to it. These are all very important things, and something that is only going to help you stand out among the competition and potentially the multiple ad spaces on the page or in the feed if somebody is looking at a display ad or a Facebook ad. If you know you have the best price in town, call that out. And as you call it out, again, keep user experience in mind. Make sure that as you promote something, when somebody clicks on it, they are being taken to that. If they have to navigate too much, you may potentially lose them. And you want to make sure that you don't do that, because people with a good website experience are 40% more likely to buy or purchase from the website that they go to first. And so as we look at not just the creative, make sure that the landing page matches that. Does it have the same look and feel? Does the offer and what you were trying to promote match? Because again, with that seamless experience, you are going to get better results. And when we talk about results, we're talking about those specific conversion points or meaningful actions we want people to take when they are on your website. So let's look a little bit more specifically at kind of the time we're currently in as we are ramping up and we are flattening the curve specific to COVID. What are some of the things that we've seen, and how can you leverage that as a business owner to ensure you are putting yourself in the best position to drive results? So as we look at the findings and intel, we know one thing and one thing for sure. People are still online and they are adjusting their daily lifestyle to take into effect the limitations that we all face based on the closures, the limitations on how many people. Maybe they've done more online shopping, but it's one of those things where we know people are still online, they are still doing research, And your creative should be able to not only reach those people we know are doing that, but speak to it. So some of the top questions we hear are, what do you say? What is culturally on point? What is appropriate? And when is humor acceptable? Some trends we're seeing from social media. First, it was fear. So February to mid-March, we saw a lot of fear-driven type of messaging. Toilet paper was disappearing, so you were seeing more and more about that. Then it was calm. Late March to mid-April, people were kind of hitting their strides. People were understanding. They were falling into a routine. And now people want to move forward. And as we look at creative, this is a great way for you to be able to leverage creative to tell people how you can move forward and do it safely with your business. So as we look specifically at some of the things that we've seen and maybe some of these other examples, keep that in mind. Keep in mind and think about how your business might be able to use something similar or position yourselves with both current and potential customers. So with people's behaviors changing, you need to be able to cater to that. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make, and we understand every business is in a different position, but turning the campaigns off is not necessarily the best solution. Having creative that speaks to what you are going through, what your customers can expect, and how they can still use your services is much more impactful. And the businesses that keep advertising are proven to have better results than those who did not during a crisis. So as we look at the data, people are wanting to get back to normal. Social spaces are missed, and people want to eat out and engage with not just family, but friends. It is still viewed as risky though. And there are certainly some people that are more at risk than others. So keep that in mind. Make sure your messaging speaks to that. Not everyone is sitting on their earnings. People are still out spending. Food is a high priority and cabin fever is real. So if people are still spending food, being able to portray maybe the 3 or 4 different ways that they can still get that through you. A delivery service, a takeout, curbside pickup, or even eating in by reservation are all very important things specific to that, but that ties to that cabin fever. People are tired of cooking the same meals over and over. So let's keep that in mind. Get creative with your messaging to ensure that you are taking advantage of that. And brand loyalty is very steady. Most people wanted to see ads from brands that they had worked with and trust. So again, this speaks to the fact that we know people are online. It's just how we speak to them that needs to be different. So as we look at some of these changes in behavior, some of the big ones that we've seen is obviously avoiding social spaces. So restaurants, bars, that is a big one. So how can you, if you're a restaurant and bar, still leverage people that we know want to eat out, but they're not going to do it in your location? Non-essential travel, heavily impacted. So if you aren't traveling for a must, people really aren't traveling that much. Or if they are, the way they travel has changed. So rather than hopping on an airplane, they are much more likely to road trip, stay within a few hours of where they live, because they feel safer that way. Save money for possible emergencies. Now that people have kind of seen what can happen, there are more people storing up food, saving money, and having things that if this ever does happen again, they are in a place where they feel better about if this ever did happen again, which is rumored to potentially either be happening now or could be even a seasonal thing, as what we look at and hear from some of the media. So as we look at these different things, it is just so important to realize that people are still consuming. They're still researching online. They're even purchasing online at a higher rate. But that does not mean you should not advertise. It just means that we should cater to that. Don't miss out, because you are if you're not advertising, but make sure that your creative matches not only what your consumers are looking for, those behaviors that have changed, but how you can help them, how you can be safe while working with your business, and the things that you are doing even above and beyond that to help those in the community.
And on that note, 2 of my restaurant clients did not take their foot off the gas. One client pivoted on their messaging for delivery and takeout and curbside pickup. The other client promoted family style meals, as well as started to do virtual cooking classes on Fridays. So, and they did not stop advertising at all during this time, which is key.
It is. It's very key. And you can find tons of research that backs that up. Businesses that were made or broken based on some of the different things that we've faced in the past. And this is unique, but we are still seeing businesses able to take advantage of it and stay strong just based solely on their messaging. So what type of messaging are we seeing? A lot of it around is positive. You know, people need positivity right now. They're tired of kind of the scare tactics and the different things that we consume and see in the media all the time. And some of those themes that we see are not only things that should be COVID related, but should be continued to be used even after. Together we can do this. Spend your time at home. You know, we're not going anywhere. Protecting our people. You know, these are all just really uplifting, positive things that you can still use and portray and are going to help you as we look at the different types of messaging that we've seen be effective and make people feel good about working with you and what you're offering. As we look a little bit deeper in that, I mentioned earlier, sometimes even just having a second set of eyes on your creative is a good thing. Obviously, Gina is here to help with that. I am as well, but making sure that that sensitive and that positive text is definitely something we are seeing better results with. The ads that are coming off insensitive or too salesy or gimmicky are not working as well. Contribution, not conversion. So what type of value are you offering? How are you helping potential customers? Better to be too serious than sorry. And when we say that, some people have really taken to very straightforward text-based ads. We know that people are affected. We know that this is going on. We can help, and here's how. But being, you know, it's okay to be serious as long as it's sincere. Again, positive, inspirational, uplifting versus dismissive. And really just making sure that, again, these are all a common theme. Think about your own usage and what you would want to see from a business that you are working with. And a lot of this is pretty common sense. It's something that, again, is taken for granted. And sometimes something like COVID needs to come along for us to reevaluate how we are speaking to our customers. And it is so important. Once this is done, it is still going to be just as important or more important than ever to ensure that your messaging and how you are speaking to your customers is important. So we really want to show you guys some examples of what we've seen here, but that our team really loved as we looked at potential ads out there. Never ever do you see auto ads where you don't have auto. And we love these BMW ads because not only is it uplifting and positive messaging, but there's no cars, they're not product pushing, there's no sale. You know, if anything, it's stay in touch while staying safe. But all of these are very, very powerful. And it's something where even if you're in the market for a car, this is going to make me act with BMW if that's something that I looked at. So you do not have to be salesy. And this is that positive ad that is working really well and is outside of the norm as it pertains to automotive ads.
And to add to that, if you don't mind, Steve, these ads actually click through to a landing page, and to the landing page, it's, you know, set up a test drive or virtual test drive, or come in to do a test drive that touts customer safety, employee safety, which is huge.
Very true. So some additional examples. We think Lowe's has done a really great job, ready to help with essential supplies for your home. This can be a lot of different things. What's ironic is a lot of people don't think of Lowe's as somewhere where you can get toilet paper, but I know a lot of people who went to Lowe's for even something as simple as that. but this is very clear, concise. They've moved away from their typical home and garden type of ads and pushing those types of things, even though they still have all of that. And a lot of people needed things like that just based on the fact that we were at home and people were looking to get out of their house. So backyards was big, yet Lowe's took the high road and they didn't promote that. And it can be seen just from what I read the other day. Lowe's not only kept up their advertising more, but with this strategy, I've read that they picked up as much as 5% market share in the markets that they are in compared to Home Depot. This Q-Link ad, helping find those that qualify for a government communication program. You know, stay at home, stay safe. We're offering all of these things for you. This gives you what you need, has powerful imagery of a kid just sitting at home. These are things that are going to capture somebody's attention and pull them in while giving them valuable information. Stay in with wings. Very simple, to the point, features great wings, but when you click on this ad, you are taken to a page for delivery options or a pickup or curbside type of options. But stay safe, stay in. We're here and we're ready. Our commitment to beat coronavirus, or even for those that are doing percentage-based or offer-based ads, 0% for 84 months. Like, that is helping some people out, and they usually do not do that. That's almost 2 years worth of payments more than what Buick usually does for zero interest offers. So they tried to go above and beyond to ensure that if you were in the market for a car, you could still get it, and we're here to help you save the most money that we can. So it's not that you can't be price driven. It's just important to position it properly and ensure that they are reaching not only the right targeted audience, because that has a lot to do with the success, but that these are things they normally promote and that they just did even more so than usual. Some more examples. Together we'll get through this. Served with love at your house. Now available direct delivery. Uber, $0 delivery fee in support of local restaurants. So this is part of their shop local or eat local campaign. These are all really important things, but if you see this, they're going to help you act, or at least give you the information that you need if you are going to act. I've never eaten at Uncle Mattio's, but if I were at home and they knew, because they marketed to me, that I was somebody who's getting online or delivery types of services, this is something that would work for me, because it has not only that order delivery and that clear call to action, but good looking, tasty pizzas in the ad as well.
And so the 2 points that I would like to make here are, while Mattio's Pizza, Uncle Mattio's Pizza, is not in this market, what I can say based on the research is they don't normally do direct delivery to consumer. You walk in, you build your pizza. They pivoted their business model to offer direct delivery. I know a few. Cold Spring Farm and Penny Lane Pub did the exact same thing. Cold Spring Farm is a farm, and they went out and they delivered food every single Monday and Wednesdays, and they stood up really quickly an online store, as did Penny Lane Pub. For the Uber Eats, I would say that really focusing on supporting the local restaurants. That was brilliant on their part. Zero delivery fees to support the local restaurants is community based.
Totally. And that's where we've seen the messaging and being specific about what you're offering and tying it to something positive, like in support of local restaurants, or anything that you do to help your community, has worked so well as it pertains to marketing to potential customers or your current customers. So again, as we talk about this, creative messaging is so important, not just because it's how you're telling your customers how they can do it, but as a business owner, ultimately we know that it needs to make sense. It needs to help your business. So above the targeting and making sure your ad's in the right, reaching the right people at the right place, but having that messaging tied to it is also going to help get people to your website. But that's only the first half of the battle. So ensuring that you are driving revenue from these campaigns is important. So we've talked about a few different products and how each of them work. And Gina and I are here to talk strategically about your different businesses and what you're going through and ideas we may have or things that we've seen to help you weather the storm and put together successful marketing campaigns that are not only going to drive those conversions that we talked about earlier, but actual revenue. And that is going to look different for everybody. Some people have online purchasing capabilities where others do not. So if you have it, Shop Now, for example, is huge. But some of the things that we've seen from an ad or a layout example that works really, really well is to make sure that you have a strong call to action or a tagline. Delivery right off the top here is like, okay, delivery, but it's a drink. Makes your cooler cooler. I mean, how cool is that? That makes me want to drink this. And I don't even know that tomato watermelon is something that I would ever drink, but I might if with an ad like this.
I was about to say that that doesn't seem like a really appropriate combination.
I mean, they're both red. I guess that makes sense from that standpoint. But if
Right.
I saw this ad, I might actually, just based on the fact that it's a good call to action. And we have had some drinks delivered in addition to just food. So it might be something where just to break up what you're used to or the things that you're having every single day. This might be something that I just might be willing to try. And I think they're trying to push something out of the box here. But delivery makes your cooler cooler. Like that is a strong tagline. It's making sure that, again, it fits within what people are allowed to do or are comfortable doing because it is still showing the social distancing and that you don't have to go into store. They will deliver it. The image, it looks really good. Again, for a tomato watermelon, if I didn't know that was tomato because it said it, I'd probably buy it just based on the fact that it looks good. And then that strong call to action, shop now. So these are all things that are going to help you make not only that ad look good and catch somebody's eye, but to actually make them come in. And so tying how you get your revenue and having a clear call to action is important. Again, every business is different. So does that mean hotel reservations or restaurant reservations for you? Does that mean online purchases? Are you a home service company? Do you go out and work with people at their home? So this could be schedule an appointment, whatever it needs to be. But those are the things that are going to help you drive revenue, and your creative should speak to that. And a couple of the benefits of doing that, we talked about obviously the ROI, but it demonstrates how people can engage normally in an abnormal time, which is so important. People are looking for this and ways to do it. So take advantage of that. It helps you visualize how to market during these uncertain times. And it makes it easier for people to take action. People need the story. And when they hear a good story, people tend to follow it. So tell them what you want them to do and give them the option to do it. And you will drive revenue from your marketing strategies specific to your creative.
And so, in wrapping up the call today, I appreciate your time and attention. We have put together a few resources for you. Of course, Exact Digital Media. I'm here to help you and guide you the best ad creative, best practices. We also have email layout site that is a link within this presentation that you'll have access to. Moat is do you want to talk about the Moat really quickly, Steve?
Sorry, my computer was frozen for a second there. You asked about Moat and what that is?
No, can you explain it?
So really Moat is just a strategy. And what I think we should do is I have a one sheet specific to this that we can include in our follow-up.
Okay.
Based on time and everything else, I think probably just making sure that we get to questions and answers is better. And I will send this out, what specifically Moat is in the follow-up with you, Gina.
And the two last bullet points, Design Pickle is an online resource to create your ad. And then the last one is a design company in Denver, Colorado, who you can work with to help you create the best messaging, best creative for you. Yeah.
So ultimately, there are so many ways that by utilizing Gina and the team that she's put together, you can still market and you can be very targeted with it, because we know how important it is to have options, to know that your advertising dollars are working. But the number one thing that drives a successful marketing campaign is the creative. So be strategic with your creative. Have a plan. Make sure it is concise and that the user experience is good, because getting somebody to click on it, like I said, is only half the battle. So with proper targeting and a good looking ad, what do we want people to do once they get to your website? And tying all of these things together is something that Gina and I are here. We are happy to talk about and strategize with you more about, because as we look at the times we are in, we know how important it is as a business owner to be able to drive business, to have some stability, and to make sure that you know what you're doing is working. And we are certainly, certainly, certainly here and love the opportunity to be able to talk more about that with you, because creative is king. It is important. And as we look at the ways you can use it, it is different for every business and every business type.
So again, we can open it up for questions. Do we have any questions from our?
We had one from Aaron in the chat. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for joining us. My name is Steven, and Gina is my partner, but Gina is the real mastermind. And again, I'll go back to the very beginning just to kind of show you who we are and what we do. But yes, I'm here. I'm more on the back end than anything else. And our goal is to put together Madison level digital campaigns, Aaron, for you that are targeted, both in what the messaging and the creative is, but also who you're reaching and what the goal of that campaign is. So in essence, you have a full service agency, and we are here to help and would love to be able to discuss more with you. Any questions or anything that you would have specific to your business. Any other questions?
Great. Well, I appreciate your time. And as part of more creative ideas in the presentation after the thank you slide, we're adding a number of other creative ideas as well, just to give you some ideas of what you can do that are, messaging, concise messaging, and highly engaging creatives that you can take a look at as well. So if there are no other questions, I do appreciate your time today. We will have a third presentation webinar next Monday, and we're really focusing on why businesses should take a look at e-commerce and how that e-commerce is vital to your business today. So again, thank you very much for your time. We will be sending this presentation out, and if you have any questions, please give myself a call, me a call, reach out to me. You can reach out to me at Gina, Gena, at exactdigitalmedia.com. Thank you.